Hello and welcome to I Love That Movie,
Episode 1.
Episode 1. I am John and joined by my co-host as always, Patrick.
Hi, John. Happy New Year.
Happy New Year. Although I'm going to really try not to call him Pat throughout this whole thing. That's what I have called him for the last 7 years. So when I slip into that, just know that is the same person and we're not joined by another third similarly named person.
with a bizarre nickname.
Right.
Now, that's just me with the bizarre nickname.
Yeah. So, Patrick. And John, no, I think he only calls me John or, hey, asshole, I guess at times.
I'll try to come up with something.
I don't need a bizarre nickname. I don't think that's a prerequisite. So, yeah, episode 1, we are doing not the Phantom Menace, but Flight of the Navigator. We picked Flight of the Navigator because when we first made this, I came up with this idea and said list 5 movies, it was on both of our top 5. So we said, oh, obviously that's perfect.
Yeah, so let's just jump into it. We'll see where this goes. This is our first episode, so bear with us as we kind of figure out our pacing and catch our groove here. So if you haven't listened to the intro episode, I actually would recommend going back and listening to that. It was pretty good. But it kind of describes what we're doing here. And our concept is we're going to be going back and checking out movies that we always say we love, but we haven't seen in a really long time.
Ruining our childhood favorite movies is basically the point of the podcast now.
Yeah, exactly. So the idea is to get together and talk about why we think we love it. And then we'll pause, and hopefully you'll pause with us, go watch the movie, come back and talk about, does it hold up? Is it still as good as we remember it? Or can we stop finally saying, I love that movie? And maybe start saying, I used to love that movie when I was a child and stupid.
Young John and young Patrick love this movie, and now that we are wise, mature adults, we have realized the error of our ways.
Or they're still great.
Yeah.
I have a feeling this one's actually going to be pretty good. I think we might start wondering, why haven't we been watching this movie?
Right. Yeah, I think that's going to happen with several of these. I can't remember now if it got edited out of the intro or not, but even when we first started talking about this, I was mixing this movie or combining memories of it and Explorers starring Ethan Hawke. When we first started talking about Flight of the Navigator, I said, oh yeah, I love Ethan Hawke in that movie. And nope, not in this movie.
So what do you remember about Flight of the Navigator?
It's a kid, not Ethan Hawke, but possibly Will Wheaton. I don't know. Like, it's a kid. In my mind, it's Will Wheaton, but I don't think that's right either.
I don't think Will Wheaton would have been young. I don't think.
All right. Yeah, I know.
Sure.
I don't know who the kid is.
I have a memory of seeing it in California, and I was actually reminded of this memory. My dad took me and my sisters to see it in the theater in California, which means I had to have been younger than 5.
Yeah.
And I was born in 82, so my guess is this movie's like 84, maybe?
I would have said 85 if unprompted. So right in that range.
84, 85, probably 85, actually.
I think I was older when I saw it, but not by much. I didn't see it in theaters. I saw it at home on VHS or on a friend's cable or whatever. And I want to say that I was like 8 or 9. But I have not seen it since I was maybe 30. I mean, again, it could have been Explorers is the last one that I saw.
We're not even sure you've seen this movie.
I definitely have seen this movie. Yeah.
I wonder how many times that's going to happen. I love that movie. Like,
right.
Wait. I've never seen this movie.
Yeah, that would be terrible. I know no later than 13, I would say. But I think that I saw it and Explorers, some combination of those two movies, 10-ish times in those 5 years. Like, I felt like I watched it pretty often and liked it as a kid.
Yeah, Flight of the Navigator is always one of those movies that it gets up so rarely. It's not usually mentioned in anybody's favorite movies. But whenever anybody does mention it, I think, oh my God, I love that movie so much.
Yeah.
I haven't seen it younger than 10.
Right.
It's been a really long... I don't even know that I've seen it available. Like, it hasn't popped up on HBO or...
Right, no.
Any of those kinds of channels. I haven't seen it on Netflix.
It's not on like TNT or anything like that. Yeah, definitely not on any streaming service.
You never see it, which leads me to believe maybe it's hot garbage. And
right.
I was just 5 years old when I saw it, and it was a fancy spaceship.
Now in my head, it's kind of it's in those same type of movies that we've talked about before. That is not like a type of movie that gets made. That is almost purely for kids, but is not animated, and like. E.T. is more of like for kids. Never-ending Story. Those type of movies are all basically kids movies that adults just end up liking also.
Right.
But there aren't any live action movies like that made today that I can think. I guess Jumanji kind of, but I guarantee Jumanji has more adult jokes and is more geared towards adults than
Yeah.
any of those that we just said.
Yeah, movies seem to have more jokes for adults these days, just to try to get them in there to see it in general. But even Jumanji, I would say, is more of a preteen appropriate
Right.
than like a 5-year-old appropriate
right
kind of movie.
Yeah, that's
So what do
interesting.
you remember about this? As far as I can think, this is about a spaceship that is alive. Like the spaceship is the alien.
Okay.
And I think it kidnaps a kid, and they go on an adventure, and the spaceship is shaped like an almond and is very shiny.
Oh.
And that's about all I remember. And there's like a weird, in Star Wars, the little ball droid that comes out of the door at Jabba's hut.
Yes.
Yeah, I think that is essentially the alien inside the spaceship.
The one that says Ichuta?
Yes? I don't
Maybe.
know. It's like the security guard droid.
Right.
at
Yeah,
the
and they
door
use
of
it in
Star Wars.
Mandalorian also.
Yeah, that's right.
Okay.
It is Mandalorian.
So
Shout
you're
out to
saying that's how
Mandalorian,
it
by the way.
talks to the floppy-haired, the dark-haired, floppy-haired kid.
I think so. And I can't remember if he was kidnapped or why he's on the ship, or if it's like a homeward bound kind of thing where he's trying to get somewhere specific and the ship has to take him.
Yeah, again, with it kind of mixed, like there are definitely alien-type things in Explorers. Because Explorers is kind of, and I don't know why I keep just wanting to talk about Explorers so much, but I think it's like Stand By Me.
Episode 1, Explorers.
Right, we're changing it. Explorers is like Stand By Me in space. Like it's the group of kids and they're like doing a sleepover and discover a spaceship and then have to go back and they run into aliens and stuff.
I really want to watch Explorers. I've never seen Explorers.
Yeah.
In fact,
again,
when my sister, shout out to my sister Beth, hi, when she listened to our first episode, the intro episode,
yeah.
she was like, "What? I love Explorers. How have you never seen that?" So maybe it's this kind of thing where 2 or 3 years older than me was whenever that came out.
Yeah.
We'd have to go. We're gonna have to go back and look that up and see if Explorers came out a couple years earlier.
I think Flight of the
missed it.
Navigator came out first. If you're
Really?
going to make me guess, I would say Flight of the Navigator came out first.
Man, I don't think I've ever even, because before us doing this, I don't think I've ever even heard of that movie.
Yeah.
Anyway, we should probably go back to the actual movie
Yeah.
we're doing.
But Flight of the Navigator, I think you're right. I don't remember the shape. That seems like a very specific memory for you to be wrong about the size or like shape of the
It's
spaceship.
like super shiny almond with a ball droid inside that has a weird laugh, I think.
I don't remember any of that, so I bet that you're right. Yes, it's some kind of mission. I don't think that it's like a save the world type of mission. It's just a get the spaceship back or.
I think it's like the kid maybe accidentally gets into the ship and then ends up flying away with it and becoming friends with the guy, or maybe I feel like he was kidnapped but then ends up. I think it's a Stockholm Syndrome movie for kids.
It's a cautionary tale.
Yeah.
Don't go into shiny spaceships that you don't know.
Yeah.
No candy from aliens. Yeah, I don't remember any of that. So that seemed again. I'm not doubting your memory. So I'm gonna bet that you're right. I just remember it being in space and a floppy-haired kid that now in my mind is the same kid from Neverending Story.
I don't remember being in space. I remember it being mostly underwater.
Oh wow.
I'm pretty sure the ship goes underwater quite a bit, or at least there's at least one prominent moment where it goes underwater, and that's for some reason the image that's like stuck in my
Wow.
head.
Yeah, you have a lot more specific memories of this than I do. So
Well,
this is going to be
I love
interesting.
this movie, right?
Yeah. And again,
remember
I
all of
thought I loved
6%
this
of it.
movie, and instead I just loved Explorers. So yeah. So we think mid '80s. I saw it quite a few times. Yeah, I think that it's going to be pretty good. I think that it's going to have. We recently talked about how good the effects of the original Star Wars trilogy are. Going back, my nephew has recently discovered them, so I've been rewatching them. And the effects of those movies in like 77 and 80 and 83 are still awesome. I think the effects are going to be pretty bad and are going to take us out of it a couple times like, oh boy, this is a little bit rough.
I think it's the kind of thing where we're going to watch it and think, wow, this was great for 1984.
Yeah.
Like this.
I can see why I liked it as a kid, but now I probably never need to see this again.
Yeah. I'd like to know, though, one thing I'd like to do in between recordings is maybe try to find a how did they do it
Yeah.
YouTube.
How did this
or
get made?
something. Nailed it.
Yeah. Again, in the
literally, how
intro,
did
we
it
said
get
that
made?
this is a discount. How did this get made? Not exactly the same concept, but we're both huge fans of that podcast. So if you like bad movies, especially, go check out that podcast. They are our parents. We're the child they never wanted, basically.
Yeah, for a long time, our Twitter, we were only following that one account.
Speaking of children that were never wanted, shout out to my brother Nick. if we're shouting out siblings for no reason.
All right. Well, I can't think of a whole lot else. We were talking before we started this that the little intro part of this podcast is probably going to be relatively short because we don't remember a whole lot of these movies. We just remember liking them for some reason.
Yeah. I think, we covered all the things that we wanted to make sure that we hit beforehand. So, yeah.
Can you think of any actors that are definitely in it? Any
No.
prominent, do you think there will be any, oh my God, this person's in this?
Yes.
Holy crap.
Yeah, I think there will be. I think maybe one of the parents but again, the memories that I have of both of these movies are that it's long periods of times with just the spaceship and the kid or kids. That there isn't a lot of interacting with other stuff. I hope the voice of the ship is like Kevin Spacey. I know that.
So I was just going to say, let's take a guess who the voice of the ship is.
It's not going to be Kevin Spacey because that's Moon, and he's done voices for other stuff like that. But
I'm going to say Howie Mandel, but I think that's just because we were talking about Little Monsters before.
I'm going to say Wilford Brimley.
Wilford Brimley? Diabetes?
Yeah. That's mid-'80s. No, let's see. What's a better... I don't know. I can't even think. The black guy from Police Academy. I hope that it's him doing all the sound effects for everything.
Actually, that might be a good guess.
Why not? What's his name? Sure Michael something, right?
Yeah, I don't remember his name.
I don't either.
I think it is Michael something.
I think everyone just knows him as the black guy from the Police Academy movies.
I think the 7 people listening to this right now are getting pissed off that we keep saying black guy and don't know that guy's name.
How else would you describe him? I guess just the guy who makes noises from Police Academy?
Yeah.
Not Hightower, the other black guy.
Watch it be Hightower.
Oh, that would be amazing.
It's not so. It wouldn't be like Eddie Murphy or something. Like
no.
Right?
It's definitely not somebody famous. 100% that it's not like an A-list person.
I think it's going to be somebody who we definitely know.
Oh man,
it's going to be like, oh my God, it's blank. I don't know. We'll see.
Were you trying to say Balky earlier?
Yeah, Balky,
Bronson Pinchot or however you say his name.
What was his last name?
Bartolomeusz.
Bartolomeusz. I can't say that word. I'm not even going to try.
Perfect Strangers was great. I love that. I love that TV show.
Spin-off?
Yeah. All right, so I think we're going to pause here and go watch our movie.
All right, we'll be back. Hopefully in the future you will be listening to an ad here, but probably will just be a couple seconds of silence. Check out Flight of the Navigator and then come back and let's all talk about what we thought.
Okay, see you soon.
Bye. All right, we're back.
Just watched Flight of the Navigator, and oh my God, it was so different than what I remembered.
What's interesting is what I remembered was exactly what I remembered.
Right, yeah, you nailed the two big things.
That I had forgotten.
Yeah. The big thing we were talking about, guessing on the voice of Max, which I didn't remember that it had like a scientific, long, ridiculous name, and they're like, just call me Max. Or he says, I'll just call you Max or whatever, which is, I feel like it's totally an 80s thing that gets done all the time, and or calling a girl Max. Wait, does Stranger Things, is the girl's name Max?
No, her name's 11. Oh, the other girl.
No, the other girl. Yeah.
I'm an idiot. Might be Max?
I think it is. It's something like, I feel like Max is such just an 80s name for everything, like every doll, or like that's the restaurant in Saved by the Bell and stuff too. Everything is just Max Headroom. I want to make a list. Now, if you can think of other things to put on Twitter or whatever else, all of the 80s things that have Max in it.
80s and 90s.
And 90s, yeah, sure.
Real quick, before we kind of jump into it, we did realize that the movie is currently streaming for free on Disney+.
And we didn't remember that it was a Disney movie, a live-action Disney movie.
Yeah, it was straight up a Disney movie. I wonder, you don't think they purchased it after...
No, I don't think so. I think it was always a Disney movie.
You think with all the Disney, everything we see everywhere, that this is a movie we'd see more often,
right,
or available more often.
Yeah, which we kind of talked about in the part 1 or whatever, that it is sort of lost in any sort of 80s dialogue, but that we both thought of it as being, quickly remembered it as being movies that we liked as children.
Right.
But nobody else ever talks about it. And spoiler, with good reason, it was garbage.
Yeah, it was. Maybe there's a reason why I only remember the couple of cool scenes that were semi-interesting as a child, because the
Yeah.
rest of it is kind of a throwaway. I mean, right away, halfway through it, we realized it took half the movie to even really get started, and then
Yeah.
it was over before you knew it.
Yeah, and then it was 30 minutes of just a almond flying fast through the air. And
Yeah.
then, we didn't say the spoiler. The voice of Max is Paul Rubens, Pee Wee Herman.
Yeah. Which actually, it took me a second to realize that, because the voice doesn't gain his character until it scans the kid's mind. And then it became Pee Wee Herman. But I guess it was Paul
Right.
Rubens the whole time, but he didn't start doing his typical laugh. I remember saying in the first part, like, I think the thing has a funny laugh or something.
Right. Yep.
Because he does it. He basically turns into Pee Wee Herman for the last 10 minutes of the movie.
Yeah, and it's when the boy is laughing at something. What's the boy's name? Davy or David?
Something
right?
like that.
Yeah. And he laughs, and Max, because even though he's got all the knowledge or whatever, he's been studying him for however long, then it's like, why do you laugh? And it's like, oh, it just feels good. Like, you should try it. And he goes, and like does it. And it's like, what the hell? And then we both look at each other like, whoa, I guess it's Pee Wee Herman.
Yeah.
Even though it's been a robot for the first 20 minutes.
I didn't recognize his voice. I guess I don't know that guy's normal voice.
Yeah, I don't think that. No, that wasn't his normal voice. Even when we went by and was doing the like compliance, like that's not what he normally sounds like. I
Right,
think
but
he
I'm
was
saying
doing
like they very specifically made it, okay, from now on we want you to be Pee Wee
right.
Herman.
Yes. Yeah. Once he does the scan of everything the kid knows, then he has apparently starts making wisecracks and insulting a fat guy for no reason. Like, I mean, it's just
Yeah, there's a lot of fat shaming in this movie.
it was really like the turn that it took. In my notes, it says it's like he's doing the genie from Aladdin before Aladdin came out. Like he starts making all these like random riffs, and they go to San Francisco, and he's like, the San Francisco tree. It's like,
Yeah.
what?
I guess it's all just little mini references for kids, because
Yeah.
there was, man, this movie was not good. I think
Yeah.
I think I might have this movie listed in my top 100 of all time,
Oh wow.
and it is coming off of it.
Yeah.
It does not hold up. We were talking at the end of it, like, is this a movie I would recommend to anybody? Like, when I have kids in the future, will I sit down and watch this with them?
I'll put a kid in front of it and walk away. I think I don't want
Yeah.
to sit and watch this again.
I don't know if
ever.
this is a movie I want my kids to, like, let's watch this again. Like, no,
Yeah,
there's
probably
better.
not.
There's so many better movies.
Explorers
this
is better.
genre.
I'm going to go out on a limb because of my memories of Explorers now. And we found out that Explorers was made 2 years before or whatever.
1 year
also.
before. So this came out in 1986, and we
Yeah.
did look it up. Explorers came out in 1985.
And Explorers is 100% better.
And I think
All the
that's the
percents.
difference between me being like 3 or 4 years old when I saw it. So maybe that's why
Yeah.
I never saw Explorers. That
Yeah.
1 year made a difference.
Definitely a better film, though.
So let's just break down the plot real quick.
Okay.
Hopefully everybody got a chance to watch it. If you haven't and you have Disney Plus, take a second to go watch it for yourself.
If you didn't pause and watch it, don't go back and watch it. I want to say now, save yourself. It's a full hour and a half. Yeah, don't waste that hour and a half of your life because if we give you the summary, you'll get all of it. Just
Honestly, fast forward to the almost exactly 45-minute mark. Maybe watch
Yeah.
the last 45 minutes. That's the movie everybody remembers. The first
Right.
45 minutes. It's
fine.
like
Well, in the first 10 minutes for the setup or whatever. So go ahead, go with the setup of the
yeah, okay.
opening
So
premise.
quick breakdown of the movie. It's 1978 when it starts. A kid is going to get his brother. He falls in the woods and hits his head. Wakes up and goes back to his house to find out that it's fast forwarded 8 years.
Yeah, it's like the beginning of Back to the Future 2.
Okay. Yeah. that
He
makes
goes
sense.
home to a family,
Right.
and that's like not his family.
Eventually
Whoa.
finds his family, and everybody has aged 8 years except for the kid. He has not aged 8 years. And at the same time, there's this weird, and I did get this right,
Yep.
shiny metallic almond-shaped spaceship. They don't really show it coming into the movie.
It's just there.
There all of a
Yep.
sudden, and somehow they got it to a facility.
NASA has it. This is like an anti-NASA campaign film also. Like it's like a Nazi propaganda film against NASA. Like
Right.
everyone that works for NASA is an incompetent idiot.
They try to make NASA seem like NASA was the villain.
Right.
Because there is no villain, but I guess
Not really.
NASA's the villain in this.
Yeah, they sort of kidnap him. They sort of I mean, they're holding him against his will, lying to his parents about different things. But then every security guard and like NASA is on everybody's stuff, on these big 80s
got machine
hats.
guns at NASA.
Yeah,
by the
and
way.
they do have,
they're all armed
and
to the teeth.
and they're ready to go at just like the drop of a dime, aiming at a small child. But the security guards are just like playing puzzles, or no, they're playing cards at one point.
They're playing poker, watching the TV of the kid in his jail cell.
And then one of the other security guards, just everyone is terrible at their job.
So the kid gets more or less kidnapped by NASA, or convinced to go spend time with NASA because NASA's going to help him figure out what's going on. They obviously immediately figure out that it has something to do with the spaceship.
Right.
And they start scanning his brain, and his brain is putting out information. At no point in time do they tell you what happened, which apparently the spaceship goes around the galaxy kidnapping creatures to analyze them, and then normally returns them to their own time when they were kidnapped so that they don't have any memory of it. But in this case, it never explained why. Something happened, or
he said it was too dangerous to take him back in time, like that his body couldn't handle going back in time.
Yeah, but the spaceship somehow lost maps that were downloaded in the kid's brain. They never explained that.
Nope. And they don't always take things back.
The best part of the story is the part we missed. Like,
right.
I want to see the part where he eventually like he gets them first, and how he loses the spaceship's memory, and like I want to see all of that. But
the
we miss all of
prequel
that.
trip of the Navigator or whatever, like pre-navigation something like and so they keep making this back and forth joke about, is he the Navigator? Is it like the Max is making fun of him, telling him that he's not a good navigator and that he can't fly. And then the like heartfelt moment is the end. He calls him Navigator, and you also nailed it that it's like the eye from Return of the Jedi.
Star Wars eye. That was by the time 45 minutes into it that we finally get to the kid in the spaceship flying around. They do a quick gag up into space and back. They do a quick one underwater for a second, which is one of my memories.
Right.
A couple of fairly decent shots for 1986 of this weird ship flying around. I mean, it's not great, but it's okay.
They pull up to a car, and like the kids are all blasting like punk rock music. And like, so David, because he's been gone for 8 years, like doesn't know music videos, doesn't know about all the different kinds of Coke there are now, like Pepsi or New Coke, Diet Coke, all this stuff. So Sarah Jessica Parker, is the one like star reveal. That's in it.
Definitely starring Sarah Jessica Parker. Didn't see that coming. She had to have been like 20. Like she looked pretty young.
Yeah, I think before we should have looked up when Girls Just Want to Have Fun and Footloose came out, but I think this is before both of those movies
probably.
Too. So this is, I mean, possibly the first major thing that she was in.
Yeah. She was actually pretty good.
Yeah. I would say, I was going to say that before when you said fast forward to 45 minutes in, you need the first 10 minutes. And then if you see Sarah Jessica Parker, her scenes are sort of funny. But one really weird scene where she's sort of flirting with him, and he is clearly 12 years old. And it's like, you're cute. Like, hasn't a girl ever told you that before? And so,
I thought for sure they were going to do something where somehow the kid comes back
his normal age,
meets her at his normal age, and then it's more appropriate, and he'll be like, hey, you don't know me, but I know you.
You helped me.
Totally missed opportunity, which means all they did was have this adult flirt with this 12-year-old kid.
Yeah, she's
like no payoff to make that not creepy.
And like she works at NASA, but I think they said her dad works at NASA or something else. She's like an intern. So even if she's like senior year of high school, she's still 18 and he's 12.
Even if she's 16 and
still inappropriate,
just hanging out, it's still super creepy.
Yeah, it was unsettling for sure. Like the way that did she touch him? I felt like she touched him, or maybe I just made that up. Like touched his face or something. It sucked. Whatever it was, I
blacked
gross.
out during that part. I don't know what was going on.
Oh, the head NASA guy is Dr. Johnny Fever. Or Donnie, he's the DJ from WKRP in Cincinnati.
I don't know what WKRP in Cincinnati is.
Yeah,
you kept saying that, but I was like, that sounds familiar, but I'm not sure what that is.
I used to watch it on syndication. It's like it's a mid to late 70s show. It would always come on like the same time as like Welcome Back, Kotter, and those type of stuff. And it's just this.
I thought you were saying he was from an actual radio station.
Oh, no, that's like, a TV show. What? I'm very into Ohio radio stations.
You know that guy's voice way too well.
If you didn't know that, I'm into obscure DJs from the Midwest. No, it's pretty funny. It's just this quirky Lonnie Anderson, the blonde chick. She was married to Burt Reynolds for a while. She's in it, and it's just this like I'm trying to think of a modern day like work like The Office, I guess, but not like not shot the same way. But But the boss is actually, that's probably the closest thing. They're all DJs and they're hijinks and stuff. It's stupid but fun. Yeah.
Sounds better than what we watched.
Definitely. But he's the head of the NASA guy.
Yeah. Another interesting realization. The kid was a nobody.
Right.
We thought for sure he'd be like, oh, it's so-and-so later became this.
Floppy hair, dark kid, or not like he's not dark complected, but he has floppy dark hair. And that was it.
Not only did he not do much more after this movie and basically had no career, we found out a couple years ago was arrested in Canada for trying to rob a bank.
Yep.
So not too much success from him.
It would have. I wish that there would have been some kind of tie, like if he would have worn the NASA hat while he was committing the crime or something, and just like see if anybody did put it together, like while he's doing his mugshot. Because when you do I'm sure you think you're going to get away with it, but in the back of your head, like if it was me, I would definitely be wearing the NASA hat just in case I got caught and be like, yeah, look good.
I saw his mugshot. I don't think life treated him too well after.
That sucks.
I think it was a very, what's the word I'm looking for?
Fall from grace.
Yeah, something like that. I don't know.
Those Disney kids.
By the time the kid gets into the ship and sort of accepts learns how to fly it, they fly around.
Yep.
He accidentally flies to Tokyo. The entire movie is a setup for him trying to find his way back to Florida real quick. Mm-hmm. Like there's so much they could have done. Like it's you and me and this space robot ship thing. Let's go have some fun, get into some adventures, have a plot, have an actual villain, have to return something. But no, it's just I am a super smart ship that can't get from Tokyo to Florida, so you do it. They do it, movie over.
And then, you were saying that they normally return them back, but he has like this menagerie of weird aliens sort of thing that looks like they were just pieced together.
Yeah.
That was probably the worst special effects of the whole movie. It was just,
those creatures?
Yeah.
That's my favorite part.
Oh, I thought they were so terrible.
No, they looked awful, but it was just like cool, interesting, funny puppets that it could have been like, let's do something with them.
That's what I'm saying. It was just a waste. And that they all, conveniently, all of the other creatures fit in a wall that is like 4 foot by 4 foot. Like they're all
tiny little
and either creepy
creatures.
They all look like they should have come from the same planet, but instead it's like this is the whole diverse universe. It's like, oh, they're all
they're all from Dagobah.
Exactly.
I'm pretty sure.
That's exactly what I was just about to say. They're all from Dagobah. And then, they, I guess one of the frog-looking thing eats his hat, so he doesn't even have the NASA hat at the end.
And they're all apparently extremely dangerous and just in open air. Like no cages, no glass, just like, I'm trusting you, kid, not to touch these because
Max
they will kill you.
This could have been your head. When he eats his hat, it's like, you didn't warn him, you didn't say anything. Like, as the hat's being eaten off of him, he says, oh, watch out.
How about don't open the thing? Don't even
He doesn't need to see them other than to have what you called, it didn't have. So at the very end, he comes back with his family at the right time. No surprise. I mean, it's totally predictable once you get about halfway through it of like what's going to happen. But if he's curious at all, which he just seems to kind of accept that it was all real, but then he kept the little sugar glider looking thing that he has, the chipmunk.
There was one little creature that he kept with him that he decided was going to be his pet from now on, I guess.
Yeah.
And I thought there were so many missed opportunities. So the very beginning of the movie starts with like a 10-minute montage of a Frisbee competition at a dog park.
So
which
long.
Has nothing to do with the plot. But they make a point of this really shiny Frisbee, slow motion at the beginning, kind of making you think, oh, is that a spaceship? Oh, no, it's a Frisbee. We're at a dog park.
Yeah. It had a couple of like sort of trying to reveal, like a blimp goes over at one point also, like this shadow from overhead. And you see a blimp and everyone like stops and looks. And because you know that this fly the Navigator is supposed to be out space, then you look up and it's just a blimp. Like these like gotcha moments in the first like 20 minutes. Like, why don't stop teasing me so that this isn't Jaws? What are you trying to do?
What I really wanted was at the end of the movie, and this would have been cliche, but I can't believe they didn't do this.
But it's still a payoff.
Have him wake up with the silver Frisbee and think, oh, it was all a dream. I just hit my head. I got it from this silver Frisbee. But no, they never do any of that. It was all real. And
he just like he wakes up and he immediately goes to his family, but doesn't have any of this like, where have I been? I guess he does the like, I love you, mom, and she's shocked. Like if I ever said I loved you to my parents, they were shocked at me saying, they're like, ugh, where did that come from? Like,
it must be a pretty shitty kid most of the time.
And then he says he loves his brother too, and his brother does like a double take, like this whole like recoil thing too. Like, good Lord, I know that. Well, to be fair, the little brother sucks at the beginning. Like his whole, and he's a super interesting character. Like
I'm pretty sure it's the same exact little brother from Home Alone, which I don't know how they pulled that off.
He looks, he does. He's got the oversized glasses and the gap teeth. But then him as the older, like that was such an interesting character too, that he's now the older brother and says like
he's a teenager and grown up
with thinking that his brother has been missing for 8 years and seems to be like pretty well adjusted and a good kid, like stays the night with him one night and then he kind of just gets thrown away. He brings David back home with setting off fireworks on the house and was like
8-year-old fireworks, by the way.
Right. And then is shocked that they don't work. Yeah. That part kind of sucked too. And you called that too. You said, you remembered whatever.
Yeah. There's so many moments that's like, why are they showing this so they're going to use this in about 10 minutes.
But then like you said, to not pay off a handful of the things that really seemed like it would have made it better.
Here's how I end that movie. He wakes up, he sees the Frisbee, he thinks, oh my God, it was all a dream. What a crazy dream. He goes, he finds his parents, he gives them the I love you. Everybody's happy. They're celebrating July 4th. And then his little brother finds the creature, and that's the moment where it's like,
oh shit.
Oh, it wasn't a dream.
Right.
But they didn't do any of that. Like, they missed all of that opportunity.
Yeah.
And granted, that would have been a super cliche,
Yeah.
corny 80s ending, but it's almost messed up that they didn't do that.
Yeah. One had other weird, like him being a peeping Tom on the girl that's on the sailboat at the beginning.
I was starting to think, is that Sarah Jessica Parker at the beginning? I was are they going to make that older, the girl he had a crush on? And then it wasn't.
It wasn't, right?
I don't think so.
God, I'm going to look in the IMDb right now just to make sure.
If it was, they didn't say it, but it definitely should have been. Like,
I mean, they said her name, but he would have had a reaction to her name, surely.
And she would have realized.
Remember?
She would have known him.
Yeah, I think so. Because she says hi to him at the beginning also. Like, she knew him.
But it should have been,
not the
right?
same person.
Like, it's not.
That's better. That's a better movie.
Been more interesting. Like,
yes, that's definitely a better movie. And that they, even if she doesn't work there, they bring her in. Like, they bring in people that knew him at the time and have like a.
There's this whole thing where he doesn't have the confidence to talk to the girl, so maybe he gains the confidence when she's older and and then he goes back and he's like, now I can talk to you because I know you and all this other stuff.
Right. Yep.
They don't do any of that.
That's a better movie too. All there. Yeah. It's. Nothing happens. That I don't know what I would rename it other than Flight of the Navigator. I mean, technically they did fly. It's not that the name is inaccurate, but it is just like meander of the Navigator or something. Like it's just like
the Flight of the Navigator was 10 minutes because he wasn't even the Navigator until the very end when he finally became friends. And also like the stupid corny goodbye with the thing he's known all of an hour and didn't get along with for the first half of that hour.
Right.
And then it's like, I'm going to miss you.
Yeah.
And, like, come back and see me. You're a spaceship.
Right.
You can fly anywhere you want. Like, why are you even leaving in the first place? Let's go. Let's start a series. Let's make another movie that's us doing stuff. Nope. Don't get any. This movie we should look it up. This movie must have bombed. Because I feel like this movie was a prequel to what should have been the movie I remember loving as a kid. It was bad
they didn't end it like open-ended though. They wrapped it all up. It doesn't seem like it's setting up future movies. They really it's like.
But that's what I'm saying. They should have been like, I'll come see you again someday, and then fly the Navigator.
Right. But they didn't do it. And I think this is before maybe movies were smart enough to realize when things have the potential of being like a tent pole, whatever, like build off of.
How do you make this movie and not plan a sequel? It's a Disney movie. When is Disney not? I guess 1986 is when Disney doesn't do things well.
Yep.
They did not do this well.
Yeah, it's really bad. The other, now I lost what I was going to say about the ending. Oh, no. So, yeah, the reason he was dropped in on 1986 at the beginning, it says, is because it's too dangerous. Don't your body can't hold up to this and this. It's like, okay, like time to take you back home. And David just says like, I don't want to go home. And Max says, it's too dangerous. And David's like, I don't care. And he's like, okay. Like it just changes like.
You might vaporize. I don't care. Do it anyway. Right. Here we go.
Right, yep. No problem. And then it does it. And it's over just like that fast.
Yeah.
And
no special effects.
Like, that's what happened. And he's like, yep, we made it. Da-da.
You think it would have dropped him off and been like that's when the goodbye should have happened.
Yes. After they made
1986.
Right. Because presumably, I mean, it does. It's there at the end. He goes flying by. Oh, see you later. And
but there was no moment. He just wakes up.
But I'm saying the spaceship is there in 1978 again.
Yeah.
So yeah, they could have. There's no reason for him to fall off.
Oh, right. So that's what I meant. The goodbye should have happened back in 1978.
Right.
He wakes up. The ship is right there. They say goodbye. He flies away.
Right. But I guess the only reason not to do that is if you have him feel like maybe it's a dream.
Exactly.
But they didn't do that
that's
also.
what I'm saying. The only reason to do it the way they did it
is to have a goodbye.
Is to have it be some sort of mystery at the end for the audience. They have the stupid little creature that they're going to show you, but they don't use any of it. It's just is just bad.
Yeah. There are so many things like that just seem not just implausible, but so ridiculous. So he escapes. He's being held prisoner, is getting not subliminal, but like telepathic messages from the ship to like come to the ship. I need your help, whatever. And is stuck in this room being guarded by the guys playing poker. And there is this sort of robot, not even a robot. The
mail delivery robot.
Yeah, the mail delivery
which
that brings
is 12-year-old kid sized and very easy to open and empty.
Yep. It's so conveniently like it really is like an ex machina on wheels. Like it just comes in.
It's the most ex machina of all time.
and
like if he had just happened to pick up a full size adult, that movie doesn't happen because he's not
trapped
getting
in there
in
forever.
that thing and he's not getting out of there.
Oh, it's so stupid.
But it just happens to take him on his route.
That was what I was going to say.
Straight
fucking to the ship. Whatever route this mail, it says mail delivery, but it only brings food as far as I saw.
I don't know.
It's so weird. And it looks like a giant size thing out of Star Wars. Also, it looks like the little
mouse droid thing.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So it's just a little bit bigger than that. Yeah, he crawls into it and it goes by another guard, not doing a good job. His dog, his German Shepherd, starts barking at it, and he's like, "What? You didn't get enough to eat today?" It's like, "No, he smells something. You're supposed to stop."
That's why you have these dogs.
They smell. He's like, "It's not going after a Big Mac or whatever." Oh, so stupid. But yeah, just go straight to the ship. The other guys guarding the ship are watching TV or doing a crossword.
There's
something.
Nobody in the room with the ship because he gets up and is walking around and nobody sees.
But no,
anything.
the two guys that see,
but they're around the corner. They weren't even in the room. Like there's no scientists working on the ship. It was the middle of the day, so apparently they're all on lunch break or something.
They're all they're waiting for the robots to bring them their food.
There'd be 10 guards in the room.
I wish there was a
scene
like that of them standing like in the room next door, and they're like, "Where is that fucking mail delivery? Like, where is our lunch? Like, we've got to get back to work." But there's two guys, even if they're not in the same room, they're watching the TV, and that's how they notice. Like when David goes into it and like the stairs are down.
Yeah.
So they're supposed to be watching it, and there's like 5-minute interaction has gone on, and then one of them looks up and is like, "Oh, sound the alarm and do this, this, and this," and whatever, code red something, and it's being held down by a tent.
Right.
It's like strapped down with like metal chain links and just like a gazebo tent thing is holding the spaceship in place, and then the spaceship still can't get away at the beginning. Yeah. Like it's got to put in like its extra thrusters to break the chain. Oh, it's fuck this movie so much. It's so stupid.
Yeah, they go code red, and I think we said before, 15 seconds. There's 20 guys with machine guns.
Yeah. And they all like cock at the same time.
At the kid.
Yep. Right at David. And they're like, get out of there. And Max says, what do you want me to do? Is like, take me 20 miles away from here. And then, like the stupid thing that they keep repeating over and over, when David gives a command, he says, compliance.
Yeah.
Which they overuse. Like, I really did laugh the first 2 or 3 times because David's not getting it. He alternates like superhero power strength, goes between being a moron, like unable to tie his shoes, like special ed classes type kid, to
piloting a spaceship.
Just
pressing buttons that are built into the ground that don't look like buttons.
But he doesn't get that he can command the ship until like the 4th or 5th time.
Yeah.
Like he just says, we should do this. And the robot's like, oh, should we? And then he says, do this now. Compliance. Bam, they take off and they do it. He doesn't get it at all. But when it said compliance, I think it was like the 2nd and 3rd time, I actually did laugh. It's like, oh, okay, that's cute.
But the 7th and 8th time, stop being funny.
And then same thing, the Paul Rubens at the beginning. I'm like, oh, this is going to be fun. And he's going to like show personality.
Do something is what they're going to do.
Yeah, and they are
literally like, do anything.
Even if, and I hadn't thought about this until now, the ship gets too wild of a personality and starts like trying to pull pranks or do something else, like flybys on cows or something. Like, he does go like moo at a cow, which is stupid also. But like if he tries to cause mischief and then Davey has to say like, no, this is not your mission. I'm the navigator. Let's get back on track. That's still better than what they did. It was just...
This is clearly not a movie for adults, and I don't want to look at it through adult eyes and say it's a bad movie. It's a bad movie through kid eyes. I don't know why. I think just because we didn't have Marvel yet. We didn't have Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles yet. We didn't have We didn't have Lion King yet. We didn't have great kids movies. We had this, so that's why I remember loving it. But it's not good. Not only do I not love it, I don't recommend it,
Mm-hmm.
and I don't think I will watch it with my kids.
I don't either.
I don't think I'd watch it with my nieces. I don't think I would. I don't think it's a movie where I would say anymore, "Oh my god, I love that movie. We should go watch that."
Yeah.
I think you get nothing out of it.
Right. Well, it's funny. Because we talked about Neverending Story in the before part, and was talking to my sister just now about Neverending Story, that she wants my nephew to watch Neverending Story.
Right.
And I said, yes, definitely, like that. And she said she was actually suggesting it for the podcast also, but said, no, I rewatch that all the time.
Yeah, I watch that once a year, and it's
Yeah.
amazing every single time I see it.
So yes, definitely rewatch. If a similar sort of movie of, if you want a dark floppy-haired kid going on an adventure and flying around and doing stuff, watch that, because Falkor is cooler than the ship. And there's actually other interesting characters. Even so, again, so easy to have one of the animals that does stuff talk and do things also. Like, they translated a little bit for the guy.
Have another like actual like humanoid
right
somewhere in there, or another robot that he sees,
Yeah.
or
video.
literally do anything other than fly in the water,
Yep.
fly across the planet, and
Yep.
end the movie.
Even video of like, this is a record of, look, you're one of thousands. Like, look at this infinite world that's out there, and like, there's other life, and you're a part. Like, now you're in this like team of navigators. You're one of whatever. Right. Nope, none of that. It's just this.
It could have been, here's a creature from your planet 100 years in the future,
Yeah.
or 1,000, or,
Yeah.
or something like that. Really, we could do this all day long,
Yeah.
coming up with ways to make this movie better, because it seems like the pitch. They made the pitch of the movie.
And
somebody
did
had
like
an
the
idea,
5-minute
like,
pitch, and
they just made that. Like,
Yeah.
I don't know, there's a kid and there's a spaceship and he's got to get
this is
back,
all
and
B-roll.
There's some time travel, and I don't know, maybe there's some cool creatures, and somebody
Yep.
wrote that down and took it literally,
Yep.
made that, did nothing else with it.
Yeah, and when you said that about Disney, about we didn't have the Lion King, we didn't have all these things. This definitely is in that time period of where Disney was not making animated films like every year, like they did,
Right.
like Little Mermaid, or no, what was the first one of that like new?
Little Mermaid was one of the first.
Was
like,
that? Yeah.
Little Mermaid might have been 86, actually. No.
Okay, I want to say that was a little, because like
89.
Oliver and Company, I feel like was before that, and
It was
it's
like the
okay.
Aristocats. I don't know when those all came
Yeah.
out.
So yeah, like Little Mermaid, Lion King, Aladdin, Beauty and the Beast. When there's like like 4 of them came out in like 5 years or whatever. That's before all of this. I'm curious what this is sandwiched in between, like animated wise. And I think maybe this is the reason why like movies like this. As I
mean,
said,
Star Wars was huge at this point,
right?
right? So this is maybe another one. We're gonna have so many of these,
Like trying
where
to be
it's
Star
just,
Wars.
hey, Star Wars is good. What can we make?
Yeah, and this is 86. So I mean,
Let's make a kid Star Wars and strip away everything cool about Star Wars and do it as fast as possible.
let's like tiny Ewoks, and yeah, I mean, there's not even a kid really, and because Return of the Jedi was 83, so this is far enough removed. I don't know. Whoever's idea this was. And again, it has all like the framework is there to have a good movie.
Right.
It just seems like it was so lazily done.
Was this
as it turned
based?
out.
We should look this up. Was this based on anything?
I don't think so.
We should probably look up some of the history. Of
No
this.
idea. I have a couple of other notes of things that were funny, or I mean, not funny, but just like, whoa, what is going on? Oh, we didn't talk about the remote control wand.
Oh yeah, that's right.
So we both wrote that down. He's watching TV, and when he's being held captive, and the Dr. Fever from WKRP in Cincinnati gives him a remote and calls it a remote control wand, which I've never heard it called that before.
Is that right around the time that the wireless remotes became a thing? Was that their
Maybe.
original name? Is it like we've just
I don't know.
quickly stopped calling it that because it was too many words?
And because
But that's what it's called?
and it's ridiculous.
Yeah. He says it so nonchalant, like that's what everybody in the world
We'll have
calls
to
it.
ask some old people if it was ever called a remote control wand, but we both went, what? Oh, and they go into when NASA, they're talking about time travel and like the speed of light and how long was he gone and this, and it starts for being undoubtedly for children, a like 2-minute astrophysics lesson that I was struggling to keep up with. I was like,
Right.
whoa, it's like, slow down. This is, they like, all of a sudden it's like they intercut a pot or a dialogue from Interstellar and then just like threw it in Flight of the Navigator for no reason. It's like, oh, you don't need to get into like quantum physics for this. It was way beyond what it should have been.
Okay, so this movie made 1985, 1986. Guess its budget. 1986 money.
Under 10 million. No, rather, I would say 10 million.
9 million.
Okay, no.
Box office 18.5. So big success for them.
18 point. I mean, but that's usually not including promotion stuff like advertising.
Yeah,
is usually
that's true.
Which they in the
I
same
don't.
thing,
I mean, I don't know. And I'm used to today's numbers, but
Right.
I feel like
That's a
anytime you
success.
double your investment, that's a success.
Yeah, that's a success. What I've seen, most things calculate how much the advertising budget for stuff is almost as much as like the movie, like on like big Marvel type movies, like they spend almost as much on advertising as they do the movie being made.
6.9 on IMDb rating. That's way too high.
Oh yeah, I
give this
that's
a 5.
Yeah.
83% on Rotten Tomatoes.
What?
That's got to be 100% people like you and I
that think
2
we
days
like
ago.
it. Right.
That's all nostalgia.
I can't
until now, I have loved this movie my entire life.
Yeah.
And then Metacritic is 64%, which is much closer to what I think it should be.
What was that one?
64 on Metacritic. And
Yeah,
I think that
that's way
includes
better.
like everybody's opinion.
Yeah.
Let's see. Directed by Randall Kleiser. Music by Alan Silvestri, which is he's done like Avengers and he's had a great career.
And the music was pretty good. That's one thing that I would say I wouldn't change. It was super 80s at a couple points. There was a point, maybe it was when he's making his journey in the robot delivery thing to the ship, where it sounded so, I was like, oh, can we use this for the intro of the podcast? Like, this music is so good.
Yeah, you guys probably heard, hopefully, I will have it in there for this one. We have some sweet 80s montage music right now for our theme music, which we both really like, but we both heard some of the score of this movie. We're like, this is exactly what we're looking for.
Yeah, can we just ask this guy how much it is to use Flight of the Navigator music? I'm sure he would probably ask, why are you watching Flight of the Navigator? Oh, one of the other notes that I had was that the quote-unquote navigator's perception of direction is questionable at best, because they are in Texas. That's when they encounter bulls or cows or whatever. And they're like, okay, we got to go, due east from here to Florida. And then 10 seconds later are flying through the Grand Canyon.
Yeah. Oh, that's
like,
right.
Whoa, what?
Yeah. The Grand Canyon is apparently east of Texas.
Yeah. And
there's 3 scenes of them flying.
Yeah.
So like nobody
wanted to line them up.
Like zero attempt at making, and like they didn't go to, that makes me like go everywhere in America. Like make this at least a movie about
road
flying around America and seeing cool things. Like,
oh, and they go to Japan. When they go to Japan, same thing. It's just like instantaneously in Japan.
Right.
I mean, if I feel like I'm a better navigator, that's halfway across the world or close to it. But
nobody noticed the ocean they flew over.
Right. Yeah.
While trying to get to Florida.
We saw nothing else. But you said too, like it's this really bad green screen of Japan, and they're just like hovering above a skyline, and there's just 6 Asian extras in the front. But they all have cameras and are like taking pictures.
Yeah, they're
of
trying
it.
to do that typical, I guess, 80s cliche of Asian tourists always having cameras.
Right. But they're in Japan.
Yeah, but they're at home. They wouldn't all
like,
be,
I don't think they... Yeah.
They wouldn't be carrying cameras around.
Oh, yeah.
In their own city. That makes zero sense.
But you never know when a spaceship's just going to come hover in your skyline for 10 seconds.
So I'm just reading this. In 2012, Disney hired Safety Not Guaranteed's director Colin Trevorrow to script out a remake of this.
Oh, wow.
In 2017, Lionsgate and the Jim Henson Company announced that a reboot of Fly the Navigator is in pre-production. Now, that was in 2017. There's nothing else about it. So
I think they rewatched it and went, ugh, never
mind. Well, they
mind.
probably rewatched it and thought, well, this was a waste. Like,
We
it's
could
still
do
a great concept. It's a movie I would love to see. They never made the movie that it was supposed to be.
That's funny because I say all the time of how like I hate when things are rebooted, hate when they're redone, when there's no reason to. Like remaking Point Break is extrapolis.
Point Break is perfect. It does not need to be remade.
Yeah. Ghostbusters doesn't like make it different, whatever else. This is a movie like this deserves a reboot. This should be redone because it has to be better.
I mean, the special effects alone.
Yeah.
And
making it an interesting story.
Make a movie. Like actually make a movie where something.
Yeah.
Half the movie is this kid hanging out with NASA, taking their sweet time to get to the stupid ship.
And
I mean, it's over.
And the reveal at the beginning, the like Back to the Future Part 2 part with the other family and all this of like, oh, wait, what's going on is interesting and like caught me off guard because I didn't remember it being a time travel movie.
Right.
So all of that was cool, but should like almost all the scenes, if for being an hour and a half long movie, it felt so long. Like, it
Well, there's a
could have been
15-minute frisbee competition at the beginning,
true.
so
it is a lot of seeing dogs catching frisbees in the air. Like, even beyond, like, the opening credits are long because it's in the 80s too, but then it keeps going. And same thing, like, you think the dog is going to have a bigger role, or the
Right.
dog could have done something.
they make a point to focus a number of times in the movie. They
Yeah.
make a point to focus on a thing that we all know is there to move the plot forward,
Right.
and then they never do anything with those moments. So it ends up being
Weird
filler,
misdirection. Yeah.
and it's just there for no reason.
Yeah.
and
It seems like misdirection in a, like, Clue type of movie, but that's not a mystery. Like, we've seen everything. Like, we know all the pieces so early. There is no mystery of what is
Right.
happening.
right.
But they keep putting these things of, like, oh, well, maybe, like, don't forget about.
And the movie's barely an hour and a half.
Right.
How sad is that you have all these moments you put in, you do nothing with them, you still can't fill
Yeah.
a 2-hour movie or fill an hour and a half movie
Yeah.
and make it good. And the movie's about a spaceship that kidnaps a kid. Like, that's
Yeah.
an interesting enough subject. You
Yeah.
can do something with it.
Yeah. Kidnap. Wow. Kidnaps a kid
need a nap?
once. I could use a kid's nap. And then comes back. And it's not like, not an abduction story and then trying to figure out after. He is back also and kept. And what did they say? Like, he short circuit. He landed in the power lines or whatever. Is the
Sure.
reason he
Never
can't get
show
away.
that. Never explain it.
Yeah, but he says it at one point. The ship Max says it that they,
Oh.
but yeah, but at that point you're like, why did you not get away? And they don't really say how David fixed that part. Like, why all of a sudden now he's okay to leave? He
Nope.
just fixes it himself. Yeah.
Yeah.
It really,
It sucked.
it did.
All
I
right,
think
I
that,
think
I
we
think
can
that's
wrap
all on my
this up.
notes. Yeah. I
We
think
just
I
talked
had-
an hour about a not good movie. So, I love this movie.
No,
I do not love
I do
this
not
movie.
love this movie.
No.
I do want to watch Explorers now, though.
Yeah.
At least to
I
separate
feel like
the
we
memories.
have to do Explorers episode 2
I think so.
because we've talked about it enough.
I want to keep the people wanting more. But you said you've never seen it, right?
I haven't.
I want to find someone else that's seen it then also and see if they share.
We'll save that for an upcoming
Yeah.
episode. Let's
Yeah.
do some more that we
that we
both
both have
seen.
seen. Yeah.
What should we do next? Should we tease something? Let's pick one.
Yeah, we've talked about several. I definitely want to do our part 1 and part 2 or whatever, like our sister movies of Ice Pirates and the Guyver at some point
That's
soon,
right.
just because those are so funny, and I just can't stop thinking about the
Mark Hamill.
Mark
and
Hamill and the
Guyver.
Guyver. That every time I think about it, it makes me laugh so much. Okay, there we go. I'm finding our list of these. So we talked about Short Circuit,
Okay.
or Uncle Buck, Critters, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. Yeah, any of those. Those are the ones that I had separated from. I mean, we have so many. On
Out of all
here.
those movies, which one do you remember loving the most?
do I remember Short Circuit? For
Okay.
me?
Short Circuit. 1 or 2?
One.
Okay.
I did like them both, but one I feel like even as
Okay.
a kid I was like, they probably shouldn't have done this. The
Yeah.
second one. And I used to get called Johnny Five as a kid because my
That
name
makes
is John.
sense.
Yeah, and it was cute.
Okay, so thanks for
Circuit.
listening. Give us a follow on Twitter, please, and let us know what you thought of Flight of the Navigator and if you had some of the same reactions and memories or if there's anything we missed. Twitter, it's at I love that movie _ we're going to have some more social media popping up soon, but for now, if you could just give us a follow there and let us know what you think of everything, that'd be great. If you have any suggestions for movies, we'd love to hear that as well.
Yes, please. And again, the criteria, and it can be ones that you just haven't seen in a long time. That doesn't mean, I mean, all the suggestions are great. Some of them, if we've seen them recently, especially if both of us have seen them recently, we're not going to do that just because.
I feel like we're going to get to the point where we're going to have hit all the childhood ones that we haven't
Yeah.
seen in a while, and we should start doing some that are just maybe a little bit controversial. Okay, so here's one that I think we have to do eventually down the road.
Okay.
There's now kind of a movement of people who don't like Goonies and think it's a bad movie,
Okay.
who liked it when they were younger.
Right.
Now, I saw it 3 or 4 years ago and loved every second of it, but maybe it's time to go back and really look at it critically.
I rewatched
decide
it over
what
the
we
summer
think.
while I was driving to Portland, and I liked it a lot.
Yeah, I did too. Maybe we can start
It's good.
talking about why people don't like it or encourage people
Sure.
to
I think we
reach
have a
out to us
pretty
and tell us
long
the
list.
reasons they don't like stuff,
Yeah.
but eventually we're going to basically what I'm getting at, suggest anything you want. We may or
Right.
may not get to it.
Yeah, I was just trying to say, don't have your feelings hurt if we say, "Ooh, I just watched that
Yeah.
last week." Like, this is not going to be one that we do immediately.
Don't just send
or
us
whatever.
movies you don't like.
Right. No, it's really supposed to be movies that you do. Like,
Right.
you think you think that we're going to like it. Black Cauldron is one, like I said, my sister just suggested. She's like, you have to do Neverending Story. It's like, I know that's good. I rewatch it all the time.
I don't know a single person who doesn't love that movie.
Right. Yeah. Like if it's a classic, I don't think anybody would say Flight of the Navigator is a classic. Again, if it's forgotten, it's probably for a reason.
Right.
Which now, I mean, I really thought that I was going to like this one. So now this whole...
I said in the beginning, like, I think this is going to be... We're going to remember why we loved it, and we're going to be in the rotation again. We're going to hype this movie.
Yeah.
Nope.
Yep.
This is why I forgot it.
Oh,
It sucked.
It's going to be... I can't... It might have to be subtitled How to Ruin Your Childhood. Also, like... I think it might be 50-50 by the time
we're gonna cancel this podcast out of pure depression for how many movies we no longer think
we have to keep a running total now also. So it's definitely 1-0 ruining your childhood over I love that movie.
Yes.
Yuck. All right.
Well, thanks everybody. Again, reach out to us, let us know what you think, say hi, let us know where you're listening from. And if you can, we're really trying to get this thing going. Share this podcast with a friend, anybody else who likes movies or just wants to be a part of this. We welcome all of it and would be greatly appreciated.
Thanks a lot. Bye.
Thanks, guys. Bye.
Compliance